Hello and welcome to the show. I'm making today's podcast at the mechanic. It's a long story, and I'll explain later in the episode. And expect to hear the interruptions in the background. The boys just jacking off. What else? Okada here and there, and other people who have showed up to repair their cars. Now, if you're tuning into the show for the very first time, the goal of this podcast is free business education. So don't worry, you are in the right place. This is not a podcast about tourism or any of those things. And if you get any value from it, please share, promote, and talk about the podcast so that friends and family members in Nigeria and abroad can benefit from the questions that we tackle. They can do that by subscribing on Spotify, YouTube, Apple, or any player of their choice. And if you have any sales and marketing questions, then bring them to me after the episode. You can call, you can SMS, or send a WhatsApp message on 080-6466-2140. Now, today on the show, before we continue, I'd like to shout out May Baka BP Bama from River State, listener of the podcast. And this is also one of those really cool Nigerian names. I've been talking about how Nigeria is really vast. We have lots of tribes. And this is something that having the podcast has made me really, really appreciate because, people discover the podcast, from different corners of Nigeria, and everybody has really cool, interesting names. But the funny thing is, Maybaka says that where he comes from in Rivers, that his name actually is popular. So he says that if you go to the market and you shout his name, that lots of people will answer. And we had a laugh about that because actually it's the same thing with me. So I run into people here and people are like, Tavishima, your name is unique. Where are you from? Blah blah blah. Is your name Japanese? Is your name German? Is your name Irish? I'm Tiv, and so over here in Abuja and back in Lagos, people hear my name and they think it's cool, they think it's unique. But the thing is, if you go back to Benue State, if you're in Makudi and you're in the market and you just shout Tavishima, maybe like 15 boys will answer. So, so interesting name. Maybaka BP Bama from Rivers. He's also an ex-Navy grad. And those people are very full of themselves now. Because he was saying that anybody who is an ex-jam, that the person is popular. So that's the problem with these military kids. They're always feeling themselves. But anyway, thank you very much for listening to the podcast. We had a really interesting conversation. Maybe I might talk about that someday. So today, what I want us to look at on the podcast is this whole thing about sales, account management, career choices, all these sorts of things. So it's not going to be a very structured episode because I had a conversation with someone who's a podcast listener. I'm not going to use his real name. Let's just call him Tay Diggs. And the reason why we're using the name Tay Diggs is because the guy looks a lot like Tay Diggs. He just looks like a Nigerian northern version of Tay Diggs. So we're going to call him Tay Diggs in this episode. So I was having a conversation with Tay Diggs now. And Tay Diggs is a new digital marketer. He's probably going to move into a sales and account management role. He says that he has got some useful tips from the podcast and he wants to know how to convert leads and also how to get leads for the company that he currently works for. So, of course, I asked him, okay, you're talking about the company. So who's going to be paying? Is it a company that's going to pay? Is it going to be you? He said he's going to pay. And then we had, money conversation. And, he was upfront. When he heard the figure, the guy shout. He said, he's not going to be able to afford it, blah, blah, blah. But still, it didn't stop me from dropping some value for the guy. So I'm going to share some of the conversations that we had right now. And then, of course, later on, if he's going to be able to afford paid coaching services, he'll be back. But let me just share some of the things that we spoke about. Let me just share some of the things that we spoke about. Hopefully, some of you are going to be able to get some nuggets from that. So, Tay Diggs. Again, not his real name. I'm just calling him Tay Diggs because the guy resembles Tay Diggs. He just looks like a northern version of Tay Diggs. And when I say northern, I mean Niger northern. Like, he looks like a Malo version of Tay Diggs, if I can put it that way. All my Malo brothers, I beg, no vex. So Tay Diggs now. So the guy studied accounting and it's something that he struggled with. So he thought about different career choices. He went back and got an MBA. That's a master's in business administration. And while he was doing that, he started doing some writing. The guy has some hustle because the guy has done bolt work. The guy has done, different kinds of jobs. So it's one of the things I had to tell him straight up, the guy, he has good vim, as in, anyhow, he wants to make things work. So I told him that, look, it doesn't matter what you settle on, you're going to be successful. So while I was doing the MBA now, I was writing for some people, doing academic writing, doing marketing writing, picking up some small change, collecting some small coins here and there, writing marketing content, But of course, he started off by doing some free work for some friends and for some colleagues, reaching out to some people like, oh, I like your business, I like what you do, I think I have some skills, so how far now? Can I just write one or two things for you? That's how he started putting out some free stuff. Eventually, he started getting some paid stuff. And you see, when I tell people, lots, because, how will I describe it? And it started from my wedding photography days. People, they would just say, don't do free work. Everything must be paid. Everything must be paid. And yes, ultimately, everything has to be paid. But the thing is, when you're stepping new into a field and you don't have a body of work, you don't have the expertise, you don't have credibility, you don't have the reputation, as in how you enter and then start charging full price. It's only people who are scammers at heart that have that kind of mind, that you've not done this work at all. You just present yourself, and then you just tell somebody that, look, pay me, it's 500k, a month or something like that. So I'm not saying everybody must do free work, but I'm just saying that for some people, you don't have a body of work, you don't have a portfolio to speak of, there's no reputation, there's no body of work, there's nothing that you can show. These are some of the ways that you can enter into the field. See? Especially where you're selling services and you can do it at low cost. So his own scope was, hey, bro, babe, I like this business, blah, blah, blah. I see your website. If we do it like this, we can improve like this, we can do like this. So how far? Let me just try one or two things. Let's see if it works. And then, of course, if you do it and then the thing works and then you're happy, then the person pays for future jobs. They also refer you. It's doing stuff like this is not a bad way to get into the market. Now, you're not going to build a career like this, but I'm saying in the beginning, when you do not have a body of work, when you do not have a reputation, when nobody knows you, when on your website there's no testimonial to put, when there is nothing to show any form of credibility, nothing to show that you can do the job, this is not a bad way to get started. And so, this is the reason why I think Taye Diggs is going to be successful, because he's been trying to make things work. So, let's see. Then, in all the work he's been doing so far now, he has been avoiding sales responsibilities. And I understand, because in the beginning, oh, by the way, sorry about, all the noise going on in the background. Like I said, I'm at the mechanic, and, some of these Malo boys now, they can be very, I don't blame them. Their job is harsh. It's boring, it's underpaid, you're under the sun and in the rain. So I guess, they just look for ways to make themselves feel all right. In fact, the last time I was here, you won't believe these boys are just racing Okadas anyhow. Using Okada to now jump, what do you call this thing? When you put sand together like a ramp, they are racing Okada, turning tricks, jumping ramps. I said, look at these boys just wasting fuel. They don't know that they can injure themselves, get really, really hurt. So then that's all the noise that we have in the background. So Taye Diggs now, the guy has been avoiding sales roles. Eventually he ended up with an insurance company, and of course, when you're working in insurance, you can't avoid it. At this point you're practically in sales. Sometimes they will call it something else. They will call you what are the terms that they like to call again? Consultant. They will call you insurance consultant. They will call you different kinds of things, but don't be deceived. It's sales, because you're responsible for going out and getting people to buy insurance policies, and you're going to be paid commissions off of what it is that you can sell. So it's sales. Even though they call you insurance consultant, insurance specialist, underwriting specialist, something, forget that thing. It's a sales job. So if you see the application and you don't want to do sales, and you see them saying consultant specialist, underwriting consultant, just run away. It's sales. But if you're brave enough, step into the role, because you're going to learn lots of things that are going to help you, that are going to help you in the future. Because you can start and decide that, man, this sales thing is not for me. Let me go and do something else. And like I told Taye Diggs, the good thing about getting involved in these sorts of roles, sales roles, account management roles, all these sorts of things, is because you're going to learn skills that when you say I'm tired and you're moving on, they parlay well, they translate well, they carry over well into other endeavors. So like me now, if I give up this whole thing and I say, you know what, I'm done, I want to join Tinubu and Co, I must enter the four walls of Aso Rock, and I decide to be a politician, all the skills that I'm learning here, all the skills I'm learning here will translate well into politics. If I say I'm going to be a pastor, let me open my church, let me be collecting tithe from all of you. Those of you that are earning like, 500M, and I'll collect tithe from you. That is how much? That's like 5M, collecting your tithes. If I want to be a pastor, the thing is going to translate well. If I want to be a womanizer, the thing would, okay, no, that's not a career choice. But anyway, I'm just trying to say that whatever it is, sales skills, the skills that you get when you're doing sales and customer service and account management and everything, they translate well into whatever it is that you want to do by the time you say, I am done with this career. So I told him, just embrace the role. But he's no longer with insurance anyway. And then from the conversation that we had, it looked like his marketing specialty was more on the strategic side, on the content side. The reason why I had to ask is because, there's some of you who are marketers and you guys are really, really on the technical side. So you guys are the ones that are very good at deciding who the customer cohort is. You're good at deciding the targeting that you have to use inside of Facebook Manager or inside of Google, whatever Google has that you use to buy advertisements. So some of you are really, really, really on the technical side, but it looked like he's more on the strategic side. Let's decide on the content, who are we writing it to, let's come up with copy, or all these sorts of things. So yeah, that's what he does. He's more on the strategy side, coming up with the pain points, trying to figure out the users, write about their problems or their interests, that sort of thing. So eventually we got to this whole question of what should I do? I'm currently in marketing, but my company, they say that they will shift me into account management or they will shift me into sales, and he has been fighting it. And of course, I wanted to figure out if he knows the difference between sales and account management, because there's a difference. And I'm glad at what he said, because he was talking more about the similarities, that whether you're doing account management or whether you're doing sales, you need the same kind of skills. And I'm like, yes, very, very, very good. But then I asked him about the difference, and he was able to appreciate that, well, the difference essentially is that you're not going to be doing cold calling. That's the way he put it. And yeah, he's correct. That's the difference between account management and sales. When you're doing sales, you are running out to look for people to say, come and buy my product or my services. Come and be a customer. Come and give me patronage. Come and do this. Come and buy. Essentially, that is sales. But when you're doing account management, you are working with people who have already bought from your company. They've bought from your company before. They were a customer before. They want to come and buy again. Or maybe they have bought and there's a problem with the order that needs to be rectified. Something like that. So that is the main difference. When you're doing sales, you're running after somebody. Come and buy my market. Come and give me patronage. Come and be my customer. But if you're doing account management, you're dealing with somebody that has bought before. The person that wants to top up, the person wants to buy a new thing, the person that wants to upgrade, or there's a problem with the previous order, and you are the person that they're going to liaise with. So the account management function is kind of broad, because sometimes you will be selling. Like when somebody comes and want to upgrade, you're essentially selling. You're trying to figure out, okay, what did you buy the last time? Okay, how is it working? Did the thing serve you well? What was the problem? Oh, you want to upgrade, and why? Okay, if you're upgrading, okay, let's be looking at like this, let's be looking at like that. So you can say that there's some sales that is involved in account management. You will also be doing some customer service, because somebody will call and say, look, I bought this thing from you, but you promised this, all of you are bastards, the thing is not working, blah, blah, blah. So, that's customer service going on. So you'll be doing a whole lot. Then, let's see, what else? Anyway, so while we're talking, and I asked some more details about the company, and he says that he's currently with a software development company and they sell to financial institutions. Now, when I heard that, the thing made all the difference, and this was my advice to him. So I told him, look, bro, you know what? Since you are currently in software development and you guys are selling to financial institutions, you guys are selling to banks, what else? Banks, banks, clearance houses, all those sorts of things. I told him, this is what you do. Your next career move is go and talk to your people and tell them, like, look, you know what? I've been doing marketing for you guys and, I'm good. I'm grateful for the opportunity. But now that you guys are saying you will expand and you want me to be doing sales, you want me to be doing account management, just tell them that, look, I'm available for account management. I'm excited at the opportunity and I'm looking forward to learning new stuff. So what do you guys have set up for me? And I told him, throw yourself into account management. Straight up. Not into sales first. And let me explain why. The reason why I told him, throw yourself fully into account management is this. When you're in a sales role, typically you're being rewarded on performance. You have small salary, chicken change, and then most of the money will come from the one that you bring in. So since Tay Diggs used to sell insurance, he knows the scope. There's some insurance firm that the monthly thing they will give you is like 50K, of course, which is rubbish. It's not anything. Then the big money that you will make depends on whether you're able to sell big accounts. Then, like while I was still selling insurance, there were some companies that were dropping maybe like 150K a month, but the big money came from whether you are able to sell big accounts. And I told him that, look, since you're new into this, if you go directly into this space, something that is performance driven, commission driven, you might struggle. You might struggle, especially since there are a couple of things you've not learned. But account management, on the other hand, they're usually salaried staff. So they pay you like they pay everybody else. So if you go into the company and the average salary of everybody is like 400K a month, if you're in account management, that's how much you collect, 400K a month. But if you're now doing sales, your salary will be small. Then your kickback, your commissions, your upside will be big. That's how it works in sales. So that's one of the reasons why I told him, throw yourself into account management. But the most important reason why I told him, throw yourself into account management is this. When you're in account management, because you're dealing with people who have already bought before, they just want to upgrade, maybe there's problem, something like that. They want to make some inquiries. The conversations are a lot easier. It's less stress. You're just chilling in the office, chilling under the AC. Somebody will call you. You guys have a conversation. It's a lot easier to manage those kinds of conversations than when you're having to go out fresh and trying to drum up business. And then I told him, because these conversations are low stress, and because these people have bought before, I told him that throwing yourself into account management will make you an expert on the customer. And that is one thing that makes selling easier. It's not just being an expert in the sales process and having the framework. It's not just knowing the framework and knowing the steps. You also have to be an expert in the customer. You have to know what is it that they want? What are they looking for? What is the problem? What is the vision? What are their pain points? The things that they've tried out before, how did they try it? The ones that work, how did it work? The one that didn't work, how didn't it work? When you know all these things, it makes it easy for you to handle the sales process. That's why I told him that if you throw yourself into account management, you'll become an expert on the customer. In fact, I advised him, be in account management for 1 whole year before you say, oh yeah, Oga, I'm ready. Let me now try sales. When you're an expert on the customer, you will see that the way you will carry the sales conversation will be different. Because when you approach somebody, in your mind, you already know that, okay, this guy, based on what he's saying, based on what this baby is saying, it's as if she's this kind of customer, it's as if he's this kind of customer. These kind of people are usually concerned about this. These kind of people are usually concerned about that. They typically have tried this. Maybe this is where they made a mistake, and this is the kind of product that will suit them. You'll be able to have a much more productive, much more fruitful, much more effective conversation because you have become an expert on the customer. So if you are in the same situation as Tay Diggs, or Taye Adegun, as I like to call him, I like to mess with some people and I say that Tay Diggs is a Nigerian, that his full name is Taye Adegun, but that's not true, by the way. So if you're in this situation as like Tay Diggs, throw yourself into account management and stay there for 1 year. You'll become an expert in the customer and you will hear it all. Because the people who have problems and are calling the company to abuse the company, you will hear it. The people who are calling in and who are happy with the company, with the product or the service, you will hear it. The people who are ambivalent about the product or the service, you will hear it. That 1 year, you will hear it all. So by the time you're stepping into the sales role, you will know so much. Your mind will just be cool and calm. The only problem now will be you will now just be trying to figure out, okay, what selling framework should I use? What discovery framework should I use? How do I handle the conversation? But when it comes to the customer part, no fear. You won't have fear at all. Because that 1 year, you would have seen and you would have heard it all. You'd have heard everything. So that's the main reason why I told him, you know what, just throw yourself straight into account management. Sorry, one moment. Let me check the time. Okay, 20 minutes. So we still have some time. I don't want to do 45-minute episodes anymore. Then let's see what else. So another reason why I told him that that Tay Diggs should do account management is because of this. So I told him that, look, bro, you know that you are in a complex sales environment, and he hadn't heard that term before. So I know that there's some of you who haven't heard that term before, so let me repeat. Lots of times when you're looking for sales content, especially in Nigeria, Sometimes you hear some stuff, you try it doesn't work, and this is the reason why. Because lots of sales experts in Nigeria haven't realized, or they fail to tell you guys, they fail to teach you guys that there are different kinds of selling scenarios, different kinds of selling contexts. So not every single thing works. You need to figure out what kind of context are you in. And the two major classifications are, you have simple sales scenarios, simple sales contexts, and then you have complex sales scenarios or complex sales contexts. And this is the difference. So early on in the podcast, I used to talk about how if you go to the market to buy egusi, that is a simple sales scenario. The number of parties involved in the transaction are simple. It's just two. There is you and there's the lady buying egusi. So if my wife says, husband dearest, and I say, yes, my love. She said, go to the market, go and buy egusi so I can cook for you and the kids. I say, okay, no problem. I drive to the market. That is just two people. There's me, and then there is the egusi trader. So number of parties involved in a simple sales scenario, simple sales context, small, 2, maybe 3, but shida, not plenty. I'm back in my wedding photography days. I'll be talking to the bride, maybe the groom. That's just 2. Worst case scenario, I'll be talking to a parent, one momsy or one popsy over there. I was never talking to more than 2, 3 people. Maybe bride and then the groom, then momsy, and maybe wedding planner. That's 4. That's not too many people. So the conversations are easy to manage because you're not talking to too many people. Then let's see. Apart from number of people, price. When you're in a simple sales scenario, the price is not that big. So egusi, we all know the price. Currently, as at the time I'm talking, okay, I don't know the price of egusi. But the last time that I went to the market, I wanted to buy 1 mudu of egusi. And I went there and I said, how much? Then the woman told me, I think it was like 5.5. I say, 5.5 for 1 cup of egusi. And anyway, that's how bad things have gotten, with this hyperinflation. Like, come on, egusi, 5.5 for 1 cup. I say, okay, madam, give me 2. Imagine buying egusi worth 10k. I say, hi, Nigeria, don't spoil. Anyway, so I don't know how much it is now. But relatively speaking, egusi is not as expensive as wedding photography. Wedding photography is not as expensive as buying a car. Buying a car is not as expensive as buying a house. So you can see that when it comes to price, the level of price complexity, there's a gradient. It increases. So it depends. So the more affordable the thing is, the more you are in a simpler sales scenario. But remember, when you're not dealing with too many people. So you're not dealing with too many people, and then the price is simple. Then typically, simple sales scenarios is when the subject matter is simple and easy to understand. So egusi is very, very easy to understand. Except if you're a novice. When you go to the market, if the egusi is bad, you can see that it's bad. The thing will smell funky, the thing will look kind of black, and the thing will look like it's gumming. So don't worry, you're trying to impress your wife, you buy the egusi, you go home. If you buy the wrong thing, she will laugh at you, she will scold you, you'll make that mistake again. So you can see that one is quite simple. But if it comes to buying a house now, for instance, you can mess up and buy the wrong kind of house. Maybe it's in the wrong area, maybe it's not secure, maybe if it's an investment decision, it's not going to give you the kind of yield, the kind of return that you're looking for. So you can make all kinds of mistakes when it comes to buying a house, for instance, or buying a car that you can't make if you are trying to buy egusi. Sorry about all that noise. The boys are now trying to flush out the gas in the compressor because it's AC issues that I'm having. So we're having, we replace the compressor and, all of that jazz. So they're just flushing out the gas. So that's what all that sound is like. So you guys don't feel as if I'm farting on the air. It's not me farting, it's gas compressor. It's not me. Even if it's me self, you can't smell anything, so there's no problem. Where was I now? Okay, I lost my train of thought. Okay, yeah, I was talking about subject matter and about how the subject matter is simple. The more complex the subject matter is, the more mistakes that you can make. So those are some things that determine whether you're in a simple scenario or a complex scenario. Then the last one that I can remember now, I think, is relationships. In simple sales, the necessity for a relationship is not there. So when I go to the market to buy egusi, the woman can afford to say something like, look, bros, you're here, you're pricing, you're not buying. If you're not buying, please move. Let somebody else come and open market. She can be that blunt because there's no need for us to keep a relationship. She's just selling egusi, and she wants to sell her egusi at 5k a cup. And if I'm there pricing, and she can't sell at 5k a cup, she can tell me, look, get out, let somebody else come and buy. There's no need to build a relationship. But if you sell cars, you can't be talking to people somehow like that, because you need to finesse and build small relationship. If you sell houses, you can't tell people, get out. You need to finesse and build small relationship. If you're selling expensive equipment, like my guy who I spoke about like 2-3 episodes ago, who wants to buy equipment for processing oil, that's to make engine oil. If you're the seller of the equipment, you got to finesse, invite them to your office, sit down under AC, buy, give them cold drink, sit down, that whole thing. You guys build relationships when you're in much more complex selling environments. So these are the things that determine whether you're in a simple sale or you're in a complex sale. So my advice to Tay Diggs was this: look, you're in a complex sales scenario, so just go straight into account management, because there's lots of things that you need to learn. Complex sales scenarios, like I say, they're complex. It's not simple. So you need to learn one or two things. When it comes to decision makers, the number of people that you're going to be dealing with is plenty, is poor, as my Yoruba people will say. In America and in the USA, they do some research. In Nigeria, we don't research anything, so I can't tell you what it is in Nigeria. But in America, depending on the level of research, depending on which figures you check and for what year, is beginning to look as if when you're talking about complex sales scenarios, you're looking at anything between 6 and 9, maybe 6 and 10 decision makers. So in other words, like he was talking to me, Tay Diggs told me about how somebody told him, like, oh look, selling insurance is very easy now. Just enter Shell. When you enter Shell, you talk to one or two executives, you close some big accounts. It's that simple. So, and of course, Tay Diggs, he laughed and said, is it that easy? Now, so then, una go just enter Shell like that. It's because it's not that straightforward. How are you going to get into the building? How are you going to talk to the security guard? When you get in, how are you going to be relating with the receptionist? The other parties that you have to get to before you speak to the executive, like different things. And so I told him that when it comes to selling software solutions for financial institutions, banks, clearance houses, things like that, the level of complexity goes up even more. So I told him, you're going to be exposed to several users. The management user, the technical user, the financial user. I can't remember all the terms, but there are different kinds of users of your products. Now, the management user is the person who is going to look at this thing and decide that, okay, this thing makes sense, more go ahead. That's the management user. The technical user is the person who actually uses your software, your product, or your service. The person who has the problem, the person who actually enjoys using the software, who doesn't like enjoy using the software. That's the desk officer. That's the technical user. Then the financial user is the person who is going to say, okay, no problem. Technical user likes it. Management user say, let's go ahead. Okay, now let me go ahead and authorize the payment. That's the financial user. Then there are also other stakeholders involved. Like when you're selling software to financial institutions, legal has to get involved, because legal department has to look at this thing to say that, oh, okay, this thing is safe to use. It meets our customer safety requirements. It meets this requirement, that requirement, blah, blah, blah. So when you're selling software to financial institutions, you're not just talking to one person. It's not like me back in the day being a wedding photographer and I'm only talking to the bride. If the bride likes it, she will pay. If she doesn't like it, we now have to toast Popsy so that Popsy will pay. If Popsy has abandoned them and she grew up with Momsy, we now have to toast Momsy to pay. But you can see that one is straightforward. But then selling software to financial institutions is different. We're going to need an inside man. We're going to need a champion. We need somebody to make one or two introductions, because we need to know what's up. We need to know the lay of the land. You need to know somebody in legal. You need to know somebody in accounting. You need to know somebody in procurement. If you know somebody who is in Oga's office, all well and good. If you have the number of Oga's PA, but you can see that you are not going to be talking to one person when we're talking about these sorts of deals. So in America, they say anything between 6 and 9, maybe 6 and 10. You can see that in Nigeria it's roughly the same. When we're talking about complex sales scenarios, you're going to be talking to multiple people. And when you're trying to sell something and you're talking to multiple people to get the thing done, you can see that it's becoming difficult. You're managing plenty of conversations. And that's the beauty of starting in account management, because when you're in account management, you have access to these people easy. The management, the technical user will call in to say, yes, we're using this is the problem we're facing, blah, 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 this is that. You have easy conversations with him. If from there you need to talk to people in legal because you have to clarify one or two things, he will patch you through to legal easy because you guys are already customers. He either wants to upgrade or they're trying to troubleshoot a problem or, something like that. He will pass you across easy. Unlike if you're coming brand new, fresh when it's a sale, he'll be reluctant to introduce you to other people because it's just the nature of the game. In the beginning, everybody is afraid. Everybody's keeping information to their chest. It's just the early days. Everybody's trying to be secretive. So, okay, 30 minutes. So when you're in account management, you have easy access to all these people. By the time you're ready to sell, you will know for sure that, okay, if I'm going to go and sell in Zenith Bank, you will know for sure who is the kind of person I need to talk to. Do I need to talk to executive director? How do I get access to executive director? Do I need to talk to branch manager? How will I get access to branch manager? The legal process of signing this contract, how does it work? The procurement process, what does it look like? You will have all these things. And you can see why I say for somebody who is in Taydig's situation, throw yourself into account management. Do it for 1 year, maybe even more. By the time you're on the sales side, you already know a couple of things. You won't be afraid anymore. The only thing will just be my script. When I get to the gate, how can I toast the security guard and enter inside? That's for some places where you have to toast the security guard, because if it's a normal bank like GTB, you can just walk straight in. But clearance houses, for instance, because of the sensitive nature of what it is that they do, they want to know for sure. Yes, how can I help you? Who have you come to see? Do you have an appointment? So you just be working on your script. How will I get past the gate man? When I enter inside, how will I toast the secretary? When I toast the secretary and I get into Oga's office, how am I going to get an appointment with Oga? Or if it's only PA that I get access to, you just be working out all those things. What's my framework? What's my step? What's my process? All those sorts of things. So, okay, 30 minutes. I'll be 32 minutes. So let me just quickly bring it to a close. So that was my advice to Taydig's. Right now, you can't afford to pay for me to coach you. No problem. When you get some more pepper, just come back. Let's have a conversation. And but in the meantime, I told him, throw yourself into account management. You're going to learn a lot, and it will make you a very competent salesperson when you come out. But then I also told Taydig's something that I tell you guys. Look, dealing with me is a risk-free proposition, because for those of you who have other sales influencers or trainers or coaches or whatever that you like, look, let's be real. You have to pay them before you can even have any kind of conversation with them. But dealing with me is a risk-free proposition. You call me on the phone, we have a cool conversation. If I have 1 or 2 nuggets, I'll drop for you. And the thing is, my own material is free. And Taydig's also said that he likes that my stuff is practical because I'm giving next clear steps. This is not a podcast where I'm going to tell you acquire, to refire, to aspire, to attain what you desire. Motivation, blah, 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 blah. I mean, motivation is good. But, that's not the main reason why lots of us are not performing in our businesses. It's not because we're poorly motivated. It's because we don't know the next step. In fact, it's even tying into our motivation. If we know the next step, we will go ahead and do the damn thing. It's because you don't know. That's the reason why we sit and we're scared and we're thinking, we're wondering which way forward. So, dealing with me is a risk-free proposition. Oh, sorry, one moment. The mechanic is here. Let me just go and find out what's going on. And then I will be back. Okay, I'm back. So I just confirmed that they have carried... Okay, sorry about that. I accidentally tapped something off. So I just confirmed from the mechanic that they've carried my compressor. So hopefully I shouldn't be here for too long. What was I? So I was saying, that dealing with me is a risky proposition. For the rest of you who have tried to get in touch with your favorite influencers in the past, because there's somebody that has confirmed he has tried reaching out to somebody else, email, nothing, phone number, nothing. But for me, I'm here. It's a easy, casual conversation. We'll have a chat. If I can help you, I will. If I can't, I'll direct you to where you can get the help. If you don't have money, it doesn't mean I won't spare you some time. We can have, a quick 15-minute chat or whatever. If you have the money to go ahead with paid coaching and consulting, then sure, let's roll. Let's get at it. But the thing is, even if you're looking for free options, I have over 1,100 audio resources that are available on the podcast and that are available on YouTube. And so I told him that, look, you don't even have to pay me for, even when you start making, correct money in your sales role, you don't even have to pay for coaching immediately. All you have to do is go to YouTube, type in Tavis Shima, type in podcast, and then type in what it is that you want to know. I have over 1,100 free resources available on YouTube, and you're going to be able to listen and get a sense of what the next clear steps are or what you should be researching next. So like I told him, the key terms he should be looking for, especially after he has been in account management for like that kind of 6 months, he should start looking on things for discovery frameworks. Discovery frameworks are what guide the conversation that we're having with potential customers when we're trying to figure out who they are, what they're about, what's the problem that they're having, how much is the problem costing them, where's the real pain point, things like that. Because that gives us all the information that we need to be able to make a compelling sales pitch or compelling sales presentation or whatever it is that you want to call it. So I told him that's one thing you should be looking for: discovery and qualification and discovery. So that's one of the key terms: qualification and discovery. Another term, discovery framework. Another key term, conversation framework. Let's see what else. Another key term, sales process. So I told him that just do that. If you go to YouTube and you type in Tavishima, you type in podcasts, after that you type in qualification framework, you hit send. Every single podcast episode that I've made, of the over 1,000 episodes that I've recorded so far, that has anything to do about qualification frameworks or conversation frameworks will be there. And then just listen and you'll be able to get the nuggets. So that's what I told him to do. And of course, we're both looking forward to a time when we'll be able to work together as a paid client. And we're already at 40 minutes, and that's what I didn't want to do. So let me just bring today's episode to a close. So that's all for today, folks. Remember, if you listen to this, you got value from it, share, promote the podcast. If you have sales and marketing questions in particular, then bring them to me. You can call, you can SMS, you can WhatsApp on 080-6466-2140. Thank you very much for your time and attention. I'll catch you, dear listener, at the next episode. Now let me go back and face the mechanics and see how far with my compressor, or whether this AC can work. And I swear, I'm tired of this whole thing of driving second-hand cars. God willing, the next car I buy, it gas be brand new, so that I know that I'll buy this car and I know that I'm using this car for the next maybe like 5 years and I have no problems. The only problem will be change tire, service the car, that kind of thing. So just use it like 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, sell it, buy a brand new car. So anyway, that's my own prayer for my own life, Sha. I'm tired of all this second-hand car BS. Let me start driving brand new car. God willing, we'll all drive brand new car. So that's it. I'll catch you guys at the next episode.